Life as we know it. NASA did a study and its findings are now out. We're not talking about global warming, a brand new government study on the very real destructive threat of solar storms. Check it out, the surface of the sun, a roiling mass of plasma and charged high energy particles. As we move to the launch pad, we can show exactly what we mean, escaping the surface of the sun and traveling through space to areas down here on Earth. Now, this giant fireball, if that ball hit the Earth and its magnetic shield, it would be devastating. I want to show you New York City at night. Times Square, drove through here at 8 o'clock last night. Streets are empty, but the electric power grid would be wiped out by the current. Lights and computers, transportation, hospitals, all would go down. The study warns it would be a disaster, far worse than anything we have seen before. The menace of these sunstorms poses a bigger threat to more high-tech and advanced countries like the U.S. Everything from our sewage systems to our Wall Street banks operate with our power grid. And a game-changing solar storm that could hit at any time. So how worried should we be? Sounds like we should be. Michio Kaku is an astrophysicist and author of The Physics of the Impossible. Sir, good morning to you. Welcome back here.
Glad to be on your show.
Now, what I'm reading here scares me to death. Should I be that way?
That's right. We're talking about a potential Katrina from outer space. Katrina caused about $100 billion in property damage. And unless we begin to make efforts now to reinforce our satellites and power grid, we could have something maybe 10 times bigger than Katrina, because we're talking about the loss of all electricity and all satellite activity. We'd be thrown 100 years back into the past.
Michio, has this happened before?
In 1859, we had a humongous storm that wiped out telegraph poles, and we tried to then estimate what kind of power could do that. And we now realize that we are very young in the space age. If something like the 1859 storm hit again, it would literally paralyze all the United States, not just for a day or an hour, but for months to years. Transformers would short circuit and burn out. Satellites would be fried to a crisp. And the sun, however, has these storms every 11 years. Every 11 years, the magnetic field flips. But in 2012, we do expect perhaps another big one.
Well, we have never before in our history, in human history for that matter, relied so much on technology as we do today. And that's part of what they found in the study, because we rely so much on our ability to communicate through our computers that they would all go down, which would handicap not just New York, but really the eastern half of the United States. That's what the study finds, which would be far worse than the blackout of New York from 4 years ago, Michio.
That's right. Those blackouts only last for a few hours to a day. But if you start to short-circuit all the transformers and blow out the satellites and fry the communications grid, then you're talking about knocking out the United States for months before we can get enough rescue crews and repairmen to handle not just one city, but hundreds of cities around the United States.
You know, Michio, sometimes you come on here and you sound like the doctor of doom and gloom. Does something like this keep you up at night?
It does, and I think with Katrina, you know, engineers knew that Katrina could happen, but they did nothing because they said that it's not going to happen while I'm around. Well, now we learned the lesson. You have to prepare for things, especially when you know that at some point it's inevitable that we're going to have another big one, like we had back in 1859, except this time we're totally dependent on electricity.
Michio, thank you. Hope to see you in person next time. We'll take you on the phone if we can. Michio Kaku, thank you for your time today. 1859. I mean, we're going back 150 years on that, Megan. Now he's wondering about 2012. Watch for this story.
When I first heard of this 2012 conspiracy, it sounded like a bunch of New Age mumbo-jumbo. But then we got a tip from a guy named Jim Higgins.
Governor, I think there's a real serious problem. There is something that's going to be happening in the next couple of years. Scientists have reported that there is going to be solar flare activity that's going to be much, much more serious than what we've seen in the past. And this could cause major repercussions for people in this country.
Wait, in a couple of years? You mean we're talking the Mayan calendar here?
The governor has reason to be skeptical. Many fears about 2012 are based on an ancient Mayan calendar that happens to end on December 21st of that year.
There are some actual scientific facts that have been reported by NASA. In about 2 years, the sun is going to go through a very unusual series of solar flares. The radiation that comes out from that solar flare, that electromagnetic energy, is going to hit the Earth. What they're talking about is something major. Well, it can be bad enough that our crumbling electric grid could be hit in a major way. Now, we're not talking about a few cities losing power even. We're talking about it could be half the country. It could be more than that.
The whole country? And the government's not concerned about this?
They're not doing anything about it.
That could be chaos. Why wouldn't they prepare us? What you're telling me is that they're preparing, meaning the government, the wealthy people, they're being taken care of, and the hell with the rest of us?
We're being ignored.
Well, Jim, you've intrigued me with this. I mean, I realize now it's beyond the Mayan calendar. The Mayans may have been right, but there's facts that indicate why they may be right.
Scientists, NASA, all are saying that there's going to be some serious issues.
We need to find out some scientific facts, don't we?
Okay, look, there's a guy called Larry Joseph. He's a researcher. He's got the lowdown on all the solar storms, and NASA backs him.
Well, then I think I'll take this one. I want to talk to this Joseph guy myself.
I'm here to wish you a happy anniversary.
Well, my anniversary was a couple months ago. What are you talking about?
We all had an anniversary a couple days ago. It was the 150th anniversary of the greatest solar storm ever to belch out and hit the Earth. Back then, didn't do much. Made the northern lights sparkle plenty and made telegraph wires burn a little bit. But today, if we were hit by that same size solar storm, the entire electrical power grid would be knocked out.
Of the United States?
Of the United States, at least. According to the National Academy of Sciences, not just me, Governor, the National Academy of Sciences, which is the closest thing we have to a Supreme Court of scientific opinion in this world, up to 130 million people would be without electricity for months or years. We would lose basic security, emergency telecommunications, fresh water, because the pumps are electric, and we are vulnerable.
And you're predicting that that is going to happen at what point in time?
2012.
Lawrence Joseph is not exaggerating. Incredibly, NASA's own studies are in line with ancient Mayan predictions. This is the report. It includes opinions from experts around the world. It concludes that solar storms could lead to a cascade of catastrophe.
Well, if this is such a threat then, and it's only a couple years away, why isn't it more on the radar screen?
When the National Academy of Sciences report came out, it did get a little bit of buzz and a little bit of press, but it's even more than that. The next month, NASA discovered something that makes the why now more urgent than ever.
And that is?
A squadron of 5 NASA satellites called THEMIS, T-H-E-M-I-S, flew through a hole in the Earth's magnetic field that goes from the pole to the equator. Why is that important? Because the Earth's magnetic field protects us from blasts from the sun. Its job is to repel them and spin the blasts around so they don't hit the surface of the Earth.
Sure.
Except that this group of satellites found that there's this giant hole in the Earth's magnetic field. It's like the shields are down, Scotty. They're supposed to be up, but they're down.
Again, no exaggeration. December 2008. NASA reports its THEMIS spacecraft have discovered a giant breach in the magnetosphere, 10 times larger than any thought to exist.
And that's the Earth situation right now? The shields are down?
It is.
What do we do to prepare for this?
We need to install ground resistors. Just place those resistors in between the ground and the transformer and protect the transformers, keep us from shorting out the nation.
But if it's that easy to do, why isn't it being done?
Because we have one problem, and it's not money, it's not technology, it's politics, Governor.
Politics?
We are maybe just a few years away from destruction the likes of which no society has ever seen.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Civilians are preparing their own underground structures for 2012. Some of them want to keep it a secret, but one man is willing to give Jesse Ventura a preview.
See, we got barbed wire fencing.
There it is, there it is.
Yeah.
Look at that thing.
Larry Hall is the frontman for the 2012 Silo project.
This is an Atlas F missile site, soon to be a survival condo. It's an impressive facility.
And this actually housed a missile at one point for national defense.
An intercontinental nuclear-tipped ballistic missile that was capable of reaching the Soviet Union. We're essentially leveraging the tremendously expensive facility of this infrastructure to convert to a modern-day use. So for us to reproduce this cost today, estimates run in the $50 to $60 million range to reproduce this superstructure.
How many feet down is that thing?
184 feet from where your feet are. These walls and the cap that we're standing on are 9 feet thick of epoxy-hardened concrete with some 600 tons of rebar throughout this facility. This one half of the door, each half weighs 150,000 pounds, 75 tons. We've got the crane and the basket take us down there. You want to see what it's all about?
Yeah, why not? All right. Never been lowered down into a missile silo before. Amazing how thick this concrete is. Well, this is very interesting. We're right in the middle right now of a former nuclear missile silo, 14 stories deep, that eventually is going to be built into condominiums that will survive virtually almost anything you can imagine.
About 12 more feet. Good?
Good.
Think of this as an inverted or upside down 15-story condominium building. There'll be a pool level on the bottom. There's a mezzanine level above that contains a workout facility. Wow. And then there's quite a few other levels. There's 6 condominium levels. There are facilities for hydroponic and aquaculture, so we can grow our own organic food. And we're putting all types of green technologies, wind turbines and photovoltaic for heating. We've got some geothermal heat exchangers that we're putting in here to help. This is an incredibly energy efficient structure.
You've got people that are prepared to buy into this right now. Now, are they just paranoid?
I don't think they're paranoid. All the interest in 2012 related events and some of the new science that we've gathered from that is I think what's really pushing the interest in this facility. And we could sell this one. We've got additional silos that we're going to build out. This is the first one, and the response has been phenomenal.
If 2012 is true, why isn't our government raising the alarm?
If you were the benefactor of information and you knew that there weren't enough resources worldwide or even nationally to protect and house everybody for events that are coming, what would you do?
January 20th, 2012, we're looking at the latest SDO images of the solar flare that we started tracking yesterday. And this thing is still active. You can see this halo. You can still see the upward glow here. Now, it's saying that active sunspot 1401 erupted yesterday on the 19th around 1630 UT time, producing an M3 solar flare and a full halo coronal mass ejection. That's what you're seeing there. And again, that's extremely strong and still going on. The Solar and Heliosphere Observatory recorded the cloud expanding almost directly towards Earth. It says analysts at the Goddard Space Weather Lab say strong magnetic storms are possible when the clouds arrive this weekend. Hold on. Backing this out so you can see the entire sun. You can still see this prominence erupting here. You can see your sunspots coming around the lower band. In your upper band, you've got this grand filament here. And again, this halo sunspot here almost has a face in it. Hold on. Now here on our flare tracker, you can see it. It's this thing, they've further expanded its projected path. This is Earth. We're going to take a pretty good direct hit on this thing. It's supposed to be here Saturday morning. That's about 24 hours away or less. Hold on. On this ACE EPAM electron chart, you can see this started on the 19th, yesterday during the eruption. You can see a steady climb in your electrons here as it approaches Earth. Also, if you'll notice on the GOES proton flux out of Boulder, it's starting to rise as we get closer to the solar flare, as it gets closer to us. So these are the things we got to watch. We got to watch for that in our neutron, proton, and electron charts, because Saturday morning, not only will we have auroras, we could have pressure points in our ionosphere, and we've seen that cause quakes before. But guys, this quick heads up, we're going to be watching it throughout the day. Y'all have a good one.
Greetings. This is a solar watch for January 23rd, 2012. A powerful M8.7 class solar flare has just been recorded, coming from active region 11402. Now, it does appear that a significant coronal mass ejection will result, and it may be headed Earth's way. SolarSoft now confirms that active region 11402 is the cause of this event earlier today. Now, it does appear that on close inspection that it may be two separate events, an M1 class event and also on top an M8.7 from the same region. We're now looking at the stereo behind core 2 of a powerful full halo coronal mass ejection released from the solar corona immediately after the M8 class solar flare today. That'll imply in around 2.5 days time we may receive significant impact on the Earth's magnetic field again, which may cause another geomagnetic storm, and this event looks a little bit more powerful. We're now looking at a split screen of the solar flare probability monitor and also Satira, where we see over the next 2 to 3 days the main activity should be coming from active region 11401. Now, I'm expecting one of these regions, 11401 or 11402, to unleash a powerful event before they turn the disk, and that'll be around 3 days time. We're now looking at the latest coronal hole information with the Solar Terrestrial Activity Report, where we see a significant coronal hole formation in the southern hemisphere, which will be rotating in an Earth-facing position in around January 24 to 26, and we should see the effects on the Earth's magnetic field due to a high-speed solar wind stream coming from this coronal hole formation on around January 27. And that's my solar watch for January 23rd, 2012. For more information, please visit my website at solarwatcher.net. Thanks for watching.
January 20th, 2012. Guys, I've gotten a lot of emails and comments asking about the strange noises that we hear that are being reported around the world. I've dug into everything I can find about it, and the thing that makes the most sense to me is there's a new phenomena that they discovered last year, and it's called a space quake. What you're seeing in this video is these lines are stretched during a solar flare. They pop like a rubber band. They come back in and bombard the Earth's atmosphere. Let this play again. Now, they're saying that they can be picked up on seismographs and will register up to a 6-point quake. Now, that's on the ones they've detected so far. I guess the intensity of this snap would determine the intensity of the effect on our atmosphere. I'm going to put some links to some information about this video, but again, let's watch this. As this is stretched to a point, a breaking point here, this is bombarding the atmosphere. It will create the sound. It will create the effect of a quake. Hold on. Now, on our website, we have the Flare Tracker website, and this magnetopause is one of the links that you'll see there. In the center, you have the Earth. The lighted side is sun-facing, and what you're seeing is the reaction to solar winds and solar storms here in real time. You've got 3 objects you see orbiting. The X is GOES1 that we get, 11 that we get a lot of our readings from. Pull this over. Your diamond shape is GOES13. You see how rapidly they rotate and how quickly they can pick this up. Your triangle here is a Korean satellite right there, the COMS. I want to read you a little bit about these space quakes. It says, the space weather phenomenon, technically a strong vibration in the planet's magnetic field, can affect auroras and can spawn space twisters capable of bringing down power lines. It says the sun can dump enough energy into Earth's magnetic field to trigger space quakes in our planet's upper atmosphere. It says, in general, Earth's magnetic field lines can be thought of as rubber bands stretched taut by the solar wind, which is actually charged particles flowing in all directions from the sun. It says, Earth's magnetic tail is the part of the field that's stretched out like a windsock by the sun's steady bombardment. It says, new data from NASA satellites, the Themis, shows that when a magnetic field line in the tail builds up too much energy, it snaps, and part of that line is sent hurtling back towards Earth like a bungee cord. It says, in the process, the broken line can attract high-energy particles in Earth's atmosphere to create a whip-like plasma jet. These jets crash into other parts of the Earth's magnetic field at about 20,000 miles above the planet's surface, where they bounce like tennis balls hitting a carpet. It says, we have learned that the plasma jets from the magnetic tail bounce and then bounce again, and so on until they eventually lose all of their energy. It said each set of plasma jet impacts can release as much energy as a 5 or 6 magnitude earthquake. Anyway, I'm going to put the links to this. It's an update, guys. That's could very well explain a lot of this. I'm not saying that it does all of it, but as we're looking at these new solar flares and this new solar activity in the solar cycle, this phenomenon may become more and more prevalent. Anyway, just a heads up on that. Y'all have a good evening. Thanks.